Okay, so today we're going to talk about angles and arcs. So we're starting our new unit on circles, and some of these things we've already thought about before, but we're now just going to put it all together. So let's start with central angles. A central angle is an angle that has its circle, has the center of a circle as its vertex, and its sides contain two radii. So here we have a point on the circle B, a point on the circle W, and T is the center of the circle. So if I make an angle here, if I make angle BT dubs, then that would be a central angle because it's at the center of the circle. And we saw that when we dealt with regular polygons and finding the area of regular polygons. We also already know from our work with polygons that the sum of all of those central angles all the way around any circle, the sum of all the measures of the central angles of the circles with no interior points in common is 360 degrees. So we're just talking about that all the way around the circle is 360. Okay, so now we're going to start talking about some new stuff. So an arc is part of the part of a circle. It's part of the rim of a circle, maybe part of rim of the circle. So like E to C, that is an arc. C to S is an arc, and then also E to the C to the S is also one big arc. And the way we do an arc symbol is we do this little arc miniature over my letters E, C, S, kind of a rainbow, you can think of it, over the letters E, C, S. So adjacent arcs are just arcs that are side by side. Remember, adjacent means next to in geometry class, so it just means that they share a common point, like ECS. EC has C and CS has C. They share a common point. And something else that's new to us, so this was EC and CS were an example of adjacent arcs, is that the measure of an arc is the same as the measure of its corresponding angle. So remember our angle BT dubs a minute ago? So that was a central angle. So here's another central angle. And if this angle is like maybe 170 degrees, I'm just making that up, then this arc would also be considered to be 170 degrees. They're the same. Okay, so a little bit more vocab before we get into the examples. There are three types of arcs. There's a minor arc, there's a semicircle, and there's a major arc. So the minor arc, it's what you would think of. It's the smaller arc, right? It's always equal to the measure of its central angle. So we said if this is like 60 degrees, then this is also 60 degrees for that part of the rim of the circle. A minor arc always has to be less than 180. That's, in other words, less than halfway around. Halfway around the circle. And for symbols, we're just going to call this, there's that arc symbol, ME. So you just do the two letters. You do the starting letter and the ending letter. And those do need to be capital letters. Then we have, so that was the minor arc. Then we have the semicircle, which is exactly half of a circle. See, it's exactly 180 degrees, which equals half of a circle. Okay, and a diameter always forms a semicircle. What do you mean by that, Miss Benton? Well, I mean anytime that you draw that diameter that goes through the center of the circle. Remember, a diameter has to go through the center. It's always going to cut your circle in half with two semicircles on either side. A semicircle on the top and a semicircle on the bottom. So you can think of a diameter as always cutting a circle in half. And then the last one is the major arc. So a major arc goes more than halfway around the circle. So we have arc U here. More than halfway around. And so there's a cheater's trick to find this one. You could say, you know, if my central angle here is 270 degrees, that this major arc will also be 270 degrees. Or the cheater's trick is if you know the minor arc here, we know that the whole circle, let's pretend this is maybe okay, I guess that needs to be 90. And so a cheater's trick to find that red arc would be to say 360 degrees for the whole circle minus the minor arc, in this case minus the 90, in which case we would have arrived at 270 for the minor arc. Now, if the 270 is given to you, you may not need to do that. I'm just saying that's another way to find that major arc.